Remember the fabricated arguments for the cameras? According to reports, things got really messy, and this time the incident started backstage, where there shouldn't have been any cameras present. Could Yandy and Mendeecees have a furious altercation behind the scenes while the rest of the actors looked on in shock? This isn't your normal hip-hop and love drama. The question that sparked them is whether Yandy was involved in another incident, or if she finally received retribution for all the drama she had endured. Fans are frantically trying to piece together what actually transpired, whether it was another covert matter, or if Yandy simply discovered knowledge that may ruin everything. However, one thing is certain. This period of hip-hop and romance is coming to an end. If you believe that the drama between Mendeecees and Yandy was finally coming to an end in the history of reality TV, think again. What happened backstage at Love and Hip Hop surprised the entire group. It was unexpected that there would be fistfights, secrets, and meltdowns that may change everything. I promise you that this is not just a dispute. Rather, it is a serious confrontation between two people whose the relationship has been strained for a while, but it's worse than anyone could have imagined. With accusations circulating and security being kept behind the scenes, the tension was so high that a knife could end it. Witnesses who hurried in described it as complete chaos, and there are allegations that the cast had to intervene before things got out of hand. Even worse. But wait, what specifically set off this disaster? Some old demons surfaced at the most awkward time, to put it bluntly. At last, Yandy had had enough of Mendeecees keeping anything from him. When the truth was revealed, there were explosions. Let's take a little trip back in time. Not exactly the epitome of loyalty. Everyone who has been hanging out with their messy-nosed dudes in DCs has had dubious friendships, late-night activities, in addition to the direct messages that were previously made public. Although Yandy seems to have been fuming inside and ultimately lost it last night, she mostly remained composed and grinned for the cameras. According to sources, she was already in a specific mood before the Love and Hip Hop taping even began, so she was pacing and muttering to producers. He was gazing at me as he passed, and after they were in the same room, the gloves were taken off. I entered the room pretending that nothing had happened because Yandy wouldn't have it that way. She refused to back down and stood directly in front of him while the cameras continued to record, declaring that she was sick of being made fun of, lied to, and standing up for a man. At first, Mendeecees tried to dismiss it as though she was hallucinating, but his entire perspective changed when Yandy mentioned that woman. The way M froze tells you it's terrible. He opened his mouth to explain, but it was too late, for Yandy was already heated, showing off the cast and receipts. His expression went blank. The identity of that woman remains unknown. Was already watching with some popcorn in hand. According to one insider, Mendeecees initially attempted to reject everything, claiming Yandy was exaggerating and listening to people who were merely attempting to divide them. This time, however, Yandy wasn't playing. Instead, she took out her phone, showed him the evidence, timestamps, and texts, and suddenly he was caught. By now, the backstage area was in utter disarray, with everyone mumbling and talking on their phones. While security watched and contemplated whether to intervene, Mendeecees suddenly lost it. At this point, instead of apologizing or taking responsibility, he altered the plot and began yelling back at Yandy, accusing her of being the issue because she constantly acts flawless while he is the bad guy. It was at this point that everything began to go crazy. He supported his claims that she isn't by pointing to previous incidents. Innocent either, but before anyone could understand the full extent of the situation, the tables were turned, security arrived, and now everyone is screaming. Pushing, the Love and Hip Hop cast is jumping in, and the producers are going crazy. It wasn't just any disagreement, though. It was the beginning of reality TV. Let's take a moment to discuss the cast's reactions, as they were. While some were thrilled by Loki, others were just competing for screen time, and yet others were shocked by the amount of turmoil. Erica Mena was spotted hiding her mouth as if she had just witnessed a murder. Safri was in the rear, smiling as if he knew the tea. Rashida's sister was shaking her head like someone's irate auntie at Thanksgiving. And let's not even get started on Carly Red. As you now know, Sis had her phone out, most likely taking notes for her next unpleasant moment. The chaos finally allowed security to separate Yandy and Mendeecees. However, the damage was already done. The producers were furious that they had to stop production and now had to handle this PR disaster. But things got worse when someone leaked some. In addition to cheating, one unnamed mystery cast member was overheard telling filmmakers that Mendeecees might be living two lives. You heard it. A double life. Based on the mumbling, this isn't your typical side chick situation. Although we don't yet have all the details, let's presume that if their claims are true, the rumors went viral on social media, as you are well aware. Twitter was ablaze, Instagram was overrun with memes, and the comment area was in complete chaos. I need an entire Netflix documentary about this kind of drama, was the finest comment. Another fan commented that Yandy ought to have left, that man we've been warned about, while another noted that Mendeecees is actually behaving like a double agent. The real questions are what Mendeecees did, and why Yandy hasn't told anyone about it yet. People start to question whether their relationship was a lie from the beginning because of what transpired in part 2, which makes matters even worse. It sounds like it's about far more than a few texts based on her tone. You would think that after Yandy and Mendeecees were separated by security, everything would settle down. Utterly incorrect, because just when everyone believed it was over, a startling revelation was made that left the whole love and hip-hop ensemble in disbelief. It appears that the enigmatic cast member I referenced before was telling the truth. When they said Mendeecees was cheating and living a second life, rumors from Backstage began to circulate like wildfire. And before you knew it, Yandy had made her way back too. This time, though, it was a break rather than just anger. Going to the next level, it appears that Mendeecees was out here acting like family, man for the cameras as he was playing house with another woman. Is not a casual second relationship. It's a serious one. Yes, Mendeecees has apparently been in a relationship for months. The woman in question, whom we'll call Maya, reportedly made hints on social media for weeks. She has been sharing pictures from inside a house that looks just like M's other apartment, posting mysterious comments and wearing jewelry by Yandy's. Yandy, who is a clever woman, had been starting to suspect something, but she never have concrete evidence now because, wait a second, hip-hop and Love's creators admitted to knowing about this months before. To exacerbate the situation, the producers were waiting for the right time to reveal it on camera. Reality TV is terrible, regardless of how filthy it may be. They took use of this knowledge, let Yandy enter the recording totally blind, and bided their time till the right moment to release. Even the cast was starting to feel horrible by this time because, let's be honest, nobody should have to learn this way. And Mendeecees, oh, he was so quiet, had nothing. Yandy went crazy when she learned the truth. I mean, a complete collapse, complete with yelling, trembling, and shoving cameras away. She was finished. "Producers," she said, "you all are disgusting. You all let me look stupid for views." Maya herself chose to join the chat because she showed up out of the blue, just when you thought things couldn't get much worse. Indeed, the purported other woman, Maya, pulled the trigger when security attempted to stop her from speaking outside the studio. Sis sat there looking guilty, as if she realized this was going too far, and said, "You know it's bad when even Carly Red isn't stirring the pot." Ultimate tears filled her eyes as she posed the one question that may make all the difference. "How long?" The room gasped when I replied, and Yandy thought she had said, "Since before he went to prison, y'all." Instead of mentioning a few months or perhaps a year, she looked Yandy in the face and said, "Since before he went to prison, y'all." The producers, who had been anticipating this, even turned to look, while he was down, visiting Yandy, defending his name. Mendeecees had another girlfriend on the side since he had been cheating on him long before he was even put in jail. Yandy collapses to the ground, gasping for oxygen. as I tell her this. Mendeecees remained silent about that man, and this was more than simply a betrayal. It was the loss of years of her life. His voice broke as he attempted to speak, and Yandy tossed her ring at him before he could finish. The cameras went blank at this point because even the producers understood they had overreached themselves. The cast members, including LHHNY, who loves a scandal and appeared to want to go, started crying as security started pushing them out. Drama wasn't really present anymore. It was hard to see. And she said one more thing before leaving that left everyone speechless. Looking directly into M's eyes, she added, "I hope she was worth it because you just lost the best thing you ever had." When she departed, nobody believed it, and the producers were at a loss for what to do next because they didn't even know how to go on. Believe me, things even out in part 3. Darker turned due to, you guessed it, Maya wasn't done yet, and what she disclosed next will elevate this tale to a completely new plane. Maya stood there in silence as if he had just dropped a nuclear bomb, while Yandy simply walked out with tears in her eyes, leaving the entire cast sitting there in utter disbelief. Now that the truth was out, the producers were sweating because they had formally destroyed one of the largest romantic and hip-hop connections. And Maya brings them up again, just when you think they're over. It turns out that Mendeecees wasn't just lying about having another lady. He actually had a child that no one knew about. Since we're being honest, we might as well reveal everything. The energy is that it could have turned a table, and the entire room freezes when I tell you this. In a few seconds, everything was different. People were getting to their feet, looking confused, and Carly Red was holding her chest tightly, like she was about to pass out. She came back, but Yandy was gone. Sis needed to hear with her ears, so she spun around swiftly. "Say that again," she continued, looking directly into Maya's face, and she did so with her whole chest. Mendeecees has a child who has been hiding it from everyone. Security had to intervene because Yandy was ready to swing and nearly fainted. At this point, even the cast members were getting angry. Rich Doda seemed to want to leave because everything was so jumbled. Lil Scrappy was pacing the floor, LHHNY was shaking her head, and Bambi was saying, "This is some crazy torner." When Maya finally took out the receipts, she took out her phone and went right to the pictures. Suddenly, she showed Yandy a photograph of a baby who looked exactly like Mendeecees. Yandy was completely taken aback. The most absurd aspect was that Mendeecees was still silent and was simply standing there massaging his face, as if he were about to pass out from knowing he had been caught. She yelled, "I gave this man my whole life, and this is what he does, with a whole child behind my back," he stammered as he opened his mouth to speak, but Yandy cut him off without warning. Men start crying when they hear someone say, "Listen, it's not what you think, but I think you have a whole child. How do you hide a baby?" This man had been trying to act calm while standing there, but now he was losing it and running away. Yandy became even more terrified as he covered his face with his hands, inhaled deeply, and then murmured, "I'm scared, baby." "You weren't scared while you were lying to me, making me appear silly on national television, or any of those things. But now you're scared." Yandy was about to throw hands with me at this moment, so security had to hold her again. His life was collapsing, the truth was out, the cameras had caught it all, and he had nothing to say. When she was done, Yandy's sis turned to Maya and said, "Keep him, he's yours now." She took off her microphone, tossed it to the floor, and left for good. There was nothing left to do, so security prevented him when he tried to follow her out. After Yandy left, the producers started rolling credits for the Fade to Black season, which gave them exactly what they wanted: the abrupt end of the largest relationship in hip-hop and love history. That's how many DCs, my friends, lost everything in one night, from secret babies to side girlfriends, from allegations of infidelity to committed covert relationships. And this man did it all. Yandy, sister, left with her independence, serenity, and dignity, because let's be honest, she was so deserving of more. Mendeecees, whoa, he's going to lose all credibility after this. so I hope he enjoys being single. But believe me when I say that, this isn't over, so the fallout will be greater and more unusual. There you have it, everyone. Total mayhem.